Well, good morning and welcome to Morning Gospel Fuel with Mr. G. It is Friday, September 3rd, the 22nd Friday of Ordinary Time, and it is the feast day of Pope St. Gregory I, the name in which our chapel here at the seminary is named after. So he is, um, so just in case you did not know, the Catholic Church enables like whatever the patron saint or the name of your church is. So if I went to Saint Michael's Catholic Church, that means on the feast day of Saint Michael, um, we would raise that up as a solemnity and treat it like a Sunday Mass, um, even putting it above the our regular Sunday worship and sacrifice of our faith. And so it just shows that the importance of the church here on earth to bring us through the natural part of church into the supernatural realm of eternity in heaven with God. So that is what we had this morning. We had a special Mass this morning here at the seminary. So what about Pope St. Gregory I? He was around in the late 500s, early 600s, and he instigated the first large-scale mission of Rome to convert the then pagan Anglo-Saxons in England to Christianity. And he was around during a tumultuous time in the history of the church, during the time of Constantinople and everything else that was going on with shortly after the fall of Rome and the fall of the Western civilization and stuff like that. But he had a huge influence, and he is one of the Latin fathers as well as a doctor of the church. And he is the patron saint of musicians, singers, students, and teachers. Today's gospel is from Luke chapter 5, verses 33 through 39. Let's begin in the name of the Father, Son, and Spirit, amen. And they said to him, the disciples of John fast often and offer prayers, and the disciples of the Pharisees do the same. But yours eat and drink. Jesus answered them, can you make the wedding guests fast while the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come, and when the bridegroom is taken away from them, then they will fast in those days. And he also told them a parable. No one tears a piece from a new cloak to patch an old one. Otherwise he will tear the new, and the piece from it will not match the old cloak. Likewise, no one pours new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise the new wine will burst the skins, and it will be spilled, and the skins will be ruined. Rather, new wine must be poured into fresh wineskins. And no one who has been drinking old wine desires new, for he says, the old is good. So, this gospel, we have the question about fasting, and there's people that are recognizing there's something different about Jesus' followers, these disciples of Christ. And so these 12 apostles, they're not fasting, and people are kind of surprised by it. They're like, you're not doing what we're doing. Like John the Baptist, his disciples, they fasted. The Pharisees, they fast. Any form of faith, they fasted for God. And Jesus is not telling them to fast. You don't have to fast right now because I'm here with you. And they're not fully understanding that yet. The disciples, even themselves, aren't really understanding that yet. But there's a restoration that's going to take place here whenever Jesus dies, suffers on the cross, and resurrects himself, right? Or God does, God the Father. So, and I read through here, the old is good. What does that mean? Because sometimes we think that we're going through a state of like nothingness. That's like, why do you think people so oftentimes say like, oh, I need to get on a vacation. I need to go on vacation. I need to get away. I need to do this. I need to do that. It's because they need restored. It's because they're getting burnt out. They're getting tired of the monotony, and they're getting tired of the old. But there's a purpose of going through the old and going through the monotony at times, because we recognize that we do need restored, and no matter how long that might last. Whenever you realize you need a vacation, maybe you need to wait for a week or a month, or maybe even 6 months, a full year, 5 years. There's this waiting period, this pruning process that God allows us to go through so that once the good happens, it's even more magnificent than what it would have been otherwise. There's a certain grace that comes about from our pruning, from that long waited pruning process. It says here, the old is good. Some of us are so attached to the old that we don't allow ourselves to feel the goodness of the good. You know what I mean? Because this footnote here on verse 39 of the old is good, it says, this saying is meant to be ironic and offers an explanation for the rejection by some of the new wine that Jesus offers, where there's satisfaction with old forms, where satisfaction with old forms will prevent one from sampling the new. So, how many of us get so, I don't know, lackadaisical, or we get so caught up in just going through the grind day in, day out, that we stop kind of pursuing a higher good. We kind of just accept things of how they are. And we, which there's a part of this that is good in that. But then sometimes whenever the Spirit talks to you and you just feel this churning in your heart that there's time to make a change, that's to recognize the goodness of that change. And there, you have these moments, the reason, why does God put us through these old moments of kind of maybe despair, monotony, and doubts and stuff like that, and struggle, no matter how long it might be. So you could be struggling for a long time, and you're being this point of desolation. But then once something good happens and this sense of peace comes, and you have those high moments of consolation, but those moments of consolation can only come from knowing what it's like to be in desolation. So that's why we need to be grateful for both moments of good and bad, the old and the new, so that once we are restored and we are renewed, it's even strong. It leaves us an even stronger impact to help us keep pressing on in faith and in our lives. So there we go. Hopefully you get a challenge out of that somewhere. Just appreciate where you're at right now and trust that the Lord's going to do what he needs to do with you. Have a great day. God bless. Keep it real. In the Father, Son, and Spirit. Amen.